What up, guys? How's it going? Back into LA regular stuff right now. Got back from NAMM pretty late last night. Very fun time. Saw a lot of good friends that I hadn't seen in a while. And really cool stuff out there. Yeah, I'm on the way to Glendale right now to the track house. Gonna go mix a few things. And I think today's gonna be the day I work on this template I've been wanting to work on. Let's see how it goes. What up, guys? So in the studio now, I was working on this template earlier, and just want to give you guys a run through on how to set it up, how to set it up and import it into your Pro Tools session. I did it in Pro Tools 11 with all stock plugins, so it's gonna be easy to use, and everybody should have those plugins. They sound really cool. So first things first, let me show you how to get it going. So it's a few different ways you can import the template into your Pro Tools session. One of the ways that I like to do it normally is just File, Import, Session Data. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Click that, and then you're gonna go find your session where it's at. There it is right there in my downloads. This menu is gonna pop up right here. There's a few things that happen. The main thing that you need to look at is this right here though, this section. So you can just click, I think select all on these. Just Command A, or if you're on Windows, I'm not sure what the shortcut is. So select all, so they all look like that highlighted. So yeah, just enable the import button. If you're running it at a different sample rate, you're gonna get hit. It's gonna look like that. Apply SRC. You don't need it for this since we're not importing any audio, so you can leave that blank. It's just they're aux tracks. They're not gonna affect your session. So yeah, just do that, and then hit the OK button, and it's gonna get that little dialog box. You're probably gonna get this window right here. Just some buses are it's a little bit different on every time you go to your setup, so it doesn't matter right there. So all right, so now you got tracks ready. And the way to get this little template to show up on your create a session template option folder, you got to go to this little section here. So you go to applications, and then you're going to find the Avid folder, which it's at there, Avid, and then you're going to go to Pro Tools. Then after that, you're going to go to session templates, and there you're going to have a bunch of stuff. I have my own folder that I created a while back, so you can just make a new folder in here, or whatever you want to do. If you want to just dump it into one of these folders already, you can just drag and drop there. I already got the session in there, so I'm not going to import it again or duplicate it. So yeah, just take it from right here, from your downloads folder or wherever you have it at, and just drop it in. And there it is. So now when you go to Pro Tools, at the top right here, you're going to go File, New. It should show up when you hit the Create Session from Template. And bam, there it is right there. I haven't actually recorded anything on here, so I'm just going to import some files real quick from a session I did a while back and show you guys how to get it going. I imported these files from, oh man, when was this song done? This is one from Omi Handi. We did it, let's see when, probably like years ago. Had to have been at least like 2015 or something like that. Let's see, this file was created. Man, so September of 2013 is when I made this song. So I'm gonna just import the beat and the bounce of the vocals real quick. And I took off all the plugins on what I had. So this is a 2-track beat. So what this is here, this is like the original beat that we recorded over before I imported the stems. And this is the bounce of the lead vocal with everything, all the harmonies and all that stuff blended in with all the processing taken out. So I'm gonna just play it for you. This is the file that I had mixed a while back. This is 2013. Step down mixed. Really, really cool song. So I'm just gonna show my template on this thing. So I took all the processing off, and this is the beat. That's like the 2-track of everything bounced out. So this is how to find the tempo on a beat. If you don't already know how to do this in Pro Tools, it's a really cool little trick that helps everything be synced up to your tempo of the song. So this is how you do it. X from Top Hustler showed me this thing ages ago. So you just go up here. Sometimes it looks like that. when there's nothing going on in your session. So what you want to do, you want to just kind of go to this little section up here on this side. It's got a little like rose kind of thing like that. It looks edit window and view. So like you click that, dude. What you do, click that. No, wait, no, I'm sorry. You go up here. You go up here, click this, and then we're gonna select tempo. That's gonna display the default 120 BPM. So that's how it looks right there. So while the song is playing, double click that little red triangle that pops up, and you're gonna get this little dialog box that pops up that says tempo change. So what we do here, to make that change, what you do, you gotta go to your keyboard, press the letter T, bam. To the beat, that's tap to tempo. Zoom in so you can see what's going on. I've been tapping it a few times, so it looks like it's around 68. I'm gonna change my grid view just to look at it in eighths for a second. So I can see right here, my track is not lining up with my grid. So this thing is maybe a little bit too slow. So let's try 68.5. And bam, that's it right there. So that's the BPM of the song, 68.5. So now everything is lined up, so I can do this if I felt like it. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna just drag these tracks down into my lead vocal track, which is this guy. It's all labeled with all the stuff that's on there. I'm gonna just bypass all these so you can kind of hear what they do. I made the adjustments on this EQ when I was mixing, it was a pop vocal that I did, female. The microphone was a pretty good microphone and I didn't really have to do too much to it, so I just kind of rolled off the low end on there. Dipped like, I think it's around like 500-600-ish, maybe a little bit higher. 600. Next thing, boosted a little 3K and around 5K for a little more presence. So let's see if this works. This EQ works on this vocal. Sometimes they don't all work, so you're gonna have to do it to taste. So I gotta do some stuff to it. Bring down that 5K because this recording is a little more sibilant. Let's bring that back in there, maybe. Somewhere around there. Next thing I'm doing is just light compression. Again, this was set when I was doing another vocal on here, but I'm just trying to see if it works, as you guys will with you when you import this into your session. So let me unbypass it, see what it sounds like. Pretty cool. Just lightly compressing stuff. The threshold here is gonna tell you how much you can compress when the compressor starts working. So just want a few dBs of it. Yeah, so that's going on there. Cool. Next thing on my template, we have this guy, the VF76. I normally use the one from Waves, but this guy works just as good too. Settings are a little bit of a slower attack and a faster release on here. I'm gonna unbypass it, see what it does. So turns it down a good amount. I'm gonna bring the input up just to compress a little bit with it. And then turn up the output a little more. So you're gonna have to adjust these depending on how your signal comes in, so just be aware of that. I'm gonna unmute that. Okay, so just slightly turning up the high end a little more. Compressor kind of darkened it up a little bit, so just doing something along those lines to it. Okay, cool. Then lastly, what I do, I'll add another plugin that'll act as more of a de-esser type thing, just to tame everything a little bit more. I'm just internally side chaining that frequency on here. So whenever that frequency hits, it'll kind of dip slowly. So that was just kind of like a brief run through of plugins that are actually on the lead vocal. All the settings are slightly going to change, but it's a starting point on what you can do to get your vocals to sound pretty good. That's what I do in my signal chain when I mix. I have a corrective EQ going to take out some of the unnecessary stuff. My second plugin is normally another compressor that'll lightly tame just certain peaks that kind of exceed a certain threshold. I want those guys just to be tamed a little more. Then followed by that, I'll have another compressor that kind of just acts as a backup compressor to the first one to catch any peaks that were kind of missed with that first pass of compression. Then after that, I'll just have a EQ to bring up any frequencies that were lost from the compression. So that's what that last plugin is doing on it. Then after that, my fifth step would be de-essing. Whatever de-esser you guys use, that's up to you guys there. Normally my go-to one is the Waves de-esser. I really like how that one goes, and I'll de-ess like at around 4K-ish, 4.5K. Cool, so now I'm going to show you the effects, which is one of the things that I mainly like on here. I'm going to mute the beat on this thing, and then we're going to just go over what the effects are. Cool, so next thing what I'm going to do, I'm going to play some of these sends that I have set up on here and explain what they have on them. So first one is the reverb send. I'm going to unmute it and just turn it up, exaggerate it so you guys can hear what it does.
As the city looking out my window, girl, you know.
It's a plate reverb that's got about 3.5 seconds on there, followed by a delay that's kind of just adding a little bit of width to it. It's not really delaying anything, it's just kind of making it wider by adding a few milliseconds to each side and then blending that into the reverb plugin. So next thing we have on here is a doubler effect.
As the city looking out my window, girl, you know.
It's exaggerated right there so you guys can hear what it's doing.
As the city
Without it,
looking out my as the city looking at my
with it there. What the doubler dude is doing, it has got a time adjust plugin on there, just adding a lot of samples to both sides just to give it more of a wider effect. And then I just EQ'd some stuff out of there just to kind of make it sound a little more realistic and wider. I'm not trying to replicate a double, I'm just adding width to it just so the vocal could sound a little bit harder in the mix. Next thing, we have an 1/8 delay.
as the city looking at my window, girl, you know.
We got that going. What that plugin is doing, it's just synced to an 1/8 delay with a little bit of feedback going on both sides. Next thing, we have a 1/4 delay. I'm gonna unmute this guy.
As the city looking at my window, girl, you know.
Same thing as an 1/8 delay on there, just instead of being set as an 1/8, it's just set to a 1/4. Next thing on here, ping pong delay. It's an 1/8 delay as well. I'm just gonna unmute it so you guys can hear what it's doing.
As the city looking at my window, girl, you know.
Same everything on there for the most part. The only thing I'm adding is one side is coming in at an 1/8, the other side is going to be coming in at a 1/4, and the feedback's a little about the same on both sides. And then the right side is a little bit filtered off right here, just a tad bit. All right, next thing is this thing I made called 1/4 distorted.
As the city looking,
I'm gonna unmute it so you can hear it.
as the city looking at my window, girl, you know. Everybody's
So what that guy's doing, it's cutting off some of the same frequencies there. Delayed also at a 4th note here, 1/4 note, with a little bit more of the high end rolled off of this guy. Followed by this time adjust plugin that's kind of doing what the doubler was doing a little bit. Just adding a little bit of a separation in the sound from the initial time it hits to the second time it hits, just to make it a little bit wider. Then after it goes into that plugin, it's going to hit this plate reverb. It's kind of a longer 3.5 second thing, and I'm only using about 15% of its wet and dry knob.
After that, it's going into a lo-fi plugin just to kind of add a little bit of distortion to it.
As I sit here looking out my window, girl, you know.
Next thing is my effects verb. That's what it's doing there. It's kind of like a Travis Scott, kind of migos-y kind of vibe to it. Pretty cool to make. This dude sounds kind of like an Infinite kind of vibe too when you check it out. So
as I sit here looking out my window, girl, you know. Everybody's staring at you and know where you.
And that kind of just goes on forever, which is one of the cool things that I really like about these. Effects like these, I'll do a lot of automation on them just to be able to fling them here and there. Sound really cool.
As I sit here looking out my window.
So they'll just keep going. They're really good on like background ad-libs and things of that sort. I'm going to explain what's going on this guy. The reverb set to 9 seconds. Large plate going in, taking off a little bit of the high end. Adding a little bit of a 16th and an 8th note delay to them, higher feedback. And then it's going into one of the time adjust plugins just to give it a really wider kind of sound when it actually is going. So that's what that plugin is. And lastly, we have a distortion plugin, one that's really cool to me that I like it a lot. Sansamp, can't really go wrong with that guy, just has a lot of cool little things to it. So without it, then this is with it.
As I sit here looking out my window, girl, you know. Everybody's staring at you and know where you flow.
If you do automation with this dude, you can do some really, really cool things. I use stuff like this all the time. I love what they do. So what I'm doing on here, Sansamp, one of my favorite presets, Screaming Lead. I usually do a little bit of that, cut some of the highs sometimes, just depending on whatever the mix requires. But this is like my general starting point, usually with that preset. Then I'll either add a time adjust doubler type thing to it, some reverb, slight reverb stuff to it, just to kind of give it a cooler sound. And that's what this guy has there. So it's a brief rundown of what this template is doing.
Let me know what you guys think of this template. It's just something to kind of get you guys' mixes started. Some cool little things. Add some creativity to it, adding delays, different variations of reverbs, things of that sort, doublers. Another thing, yeah, it's all done with stock Avid plugins too. So these things you're gonna be able to use them. They're gonna go on. And if you want to replace the plugins with any other plugins that you may already own that probably do a little more justice to the sound you want it to go for, yeah, just replace some of them and see what you come up with. I use generally a lot of everything. I like a lot of the wave stuff, sound toy stuff. I use lots of different things, anything from like Plugin Alliance. I use a lot of things from them. Air plugins are amazing to me. They got really cool stuff. So yeah, just check out certain things and see what you guys can come up with. But brief introduction about how to use this template. See if you guys can get anywhere with this. See what it gets done for you guys. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions on it.
Raphael.